Network Center. Thanks for coming out to Envision 2022. This afternoon's speaker is Andrea Adams. She's with Fortinet. She's been with the organization for about 5 years. Been a great partner with NCI. And with that, I'll let you have the floor.
Oh, hey guys. I can say that because, or girls virtually, that I'm the only woman here. So I wanted to start things off real quick. I am going to flumber. I'm probably going to say a naughty word. So we're just going to get all of the embarrassing stuff out of the way. My middle name is Grace. I'll probably trip and fall as well. So feel free. Any questions? Feel free to interrupt as well. I really prefer presentations are presentations. I hate presentation. It's like death by PowerPoint. I just would really love to have more of an open conversation. So if you have any questions or something pops up or says, Andrea, you're full of crap, it's okay, tell me that. Well, let's walk through it. So with that said, nice to meet y'all. So today we're going to talk about ZTNA. So I don't know, there we go. Is this the clicker, this little green thing? You just hit the green button? Okay, every clicker is different, so once again. So everybody, we're going to talk about ZTNA today. Everybody's hearing it, right? It's a hot topic, right? What does that mean, right? What does Zero Trust Network Access mean? And, how has it evolved? How would we become there today, right? Anybody else, anybody here know what's your definition of ZTNA? Anybody got any takers? No? Come on. I got an umbrella at the table for you. So before we get started, you guys, customers, what we hear at Fortinet, what we're seeing as far as trends when it comes to customers' challenges. And this is where ZTNA comes into effect, right? Challenges that we're having is the work from home. COVID did a wonderful, wonderful thing for us. A lot of businesses, you guys did great. You were able to get that remote workforce in there, but it's not secure, right? We have to trust their devices. We don't know what their device looks like. Are they using a Netgear router? Do they have everybody in their neighborhood access to their Wi-Fi? And now they're connecting to your internet, to your network as well as network edge explosion, right? Things are constantly changing. People are going to the cloud. Everything's becoming more SaaS-based, right? Everybody's in the cloud somewhere, whether you're using Salesforce or who isn't using Office 365 or Teams? I think everybody's probably using Office 365 and Teams. And then with the loveliness that I like to call COVID, those sophisticated attacks, right? Ransomware was at its all-time high, right? And then OT. Any manufacturing utilities in the room today? Yep. So OT and IT, completely different networks. I love to call it the carpet side and the cement side of the business, right? They traditionally never talk to one another. Your SCADA, your ICS device networks are completely separate. But now they need to talk to one another. So how do we do that? We need to do that conversion, right? The keynote speaker this morning talked about digital transformation, right? Old OT environments, you didn't have IP in there. It was all Modbus, EtherCAT. It wasn't Ethernet, right? It was not IP based. Now they're introducing robots have Bluetooth. Conveyor arms have IP addresses. So we need to secure the OT side of the business as well. So with all of these challenges, right, comes problems. Our original architecture, right? Think about the old architecture, if currently you guys are currently doing it today as far as your network. As long as you had a user and password and everything was in the data center, right? So you trusted everybody, right? So all of your stuff was in the data center, so user, password, whatever you need to do, you trust anybody. It doesn't matter who connected to your network. Well, now you're moving that application journey. You have those OT challenges. You have the work from home. You're connecting in via VPN versus being remote or home, right, or in your network core. You can't trust everybody anymore, which continues to bring up the subject of what is ZTNA, right? What is that Zero Trust Network Access? So what is trust, right? Let's talk about it. Trust is somebody when you believe or trust somebody in something or somebody with benefit of the doubt. Doesn't matter. Me personally, I find it, and maybe it's because I'm a woman, I don't know. But me personally, I find it very hard to trust, right? I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you can be the best person, the best everything, but something's going to happen. We're all human. might accidentally forget something. It's very hard for me to trust, especially when you've lost that trust before, right? So when we talk about trust, can we really trust our computers, our networks, or ourselves, right? So if you think about it, so when you're talking about your computers, is your computer going to do the same thing every day? Are you going to update it on time, right? As far as your network, can you say that your network's never ever going to go down, right? Are you going to do the same steps every day? Are you going to log into Salesforce first and then Outlook, or are you going to actually upgrade your system, or are you actually you're going to restart your computer now, or are you going to wait for 47 days and keep restart later? So can we actually trust our networks, our computers, and ourselves? And we're human, right? We here, don't tell, we're not recording this, right? We here at Fortinet, right? We all get those self-awareness, those trainings, like you get the phishing emails, testing, like we here at Fortinet, we actually do that. They trick us. They want to make sure we're paying attention. It looks like it. Are we actually not accidentally clicking on something? Did I actually click on something? Yep, I did. Man, it was me. I can't even lie. I can't say, dang it was my 9-year-old. He did it. I don't know why it was on my work computer. Now, so we can't be trusted. We accidentally clicked something. We downloaded something we didn't mean to. So we can't really trust our computers, our networks, or ourselves. So how can we, in general, trust anybody else, right? So how can we rely on that old network architecture where as long as it connects to the data center, you're trusted, right? Does that sound like a reasonable thing to do? Ha-ha, look at that. I love it when people talk back. I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. So, so with that, back to like my original topic, what is zero trust, right? According to NIST, right, the actual official description of zero trust is a cybersecurity paradigm focused on a resource protection and the premise that trust is never granted implicitly but must be continually valued. What the heck does that mean, right? Zero trust, basically, it's a mindset, it's a philosophy, it's a journey. I don't want anybody from Fortinet or any vendor to tell you that it is a product. Zero trust is not a product. It is a journey. It consists of many different things, right? Not just a specific software or a specific piece of hardware, but it's constantly evaluating your network, constantly giving them zero trust is basically you're denying everybody from the get-go. I don't care if you are the president of the company. No offense if there's any president of the companies in here. I don't care if you work in shipping or receiving, or I don't care if you've been with the company for 37 years. You are automatically going to be denied. That is zero trust. Until we build policy and say that this is what you have access to, right? Do I want my shipping and receiving guys to have access to my HR records? No. So why would I want to give them access to something? That's what zero trust is all about. So it's not just about a product or a solution. It's about a journey, about how your network evolves and constantly evolving. We talk about that network explosion, right? Edges are changing. The landscaping is always different. So we don't necessarily want to trust everybody. It doesn't matter what your title is, who you are, what you do. It's implicit deny at the first start until your trust is earned, right? So here are zero trust concepts, right? It's a mindset. Like I said, it's an architecture and it's a journey, right? It's an initiatives. It's not a specific product. So I don't want you thinking that it is maybe you bought Fortinet's ZTNA client. Like, I got ZTNA. No, it's not just about that one product. It's about your whole network. So it's the mindset that we can't just trust a user or device, but we have to confirm their identity, right? And their status, right? Now, for example, here's a lovely little example. Application awareness, right? So we have our marketing team that can go to the cloud for specific applications, right? We don't necessarily want our engineering team don't need to go there, right? So we are going to identify they work for us. Great, step one. Ooh, step two, do you work for marketing? Yep, now you have access to that application, right? Ooh, nope, you work for engineering. Sorry, you guys don't have access to that application. That's what that philosophy is. Just because you work for the company doesn't necessarily mean it gives you the right to have access to everything that company has, right? And then it's an architecture, right? We need to replace that implicit trust. We no longer just have everything in the data center for users. We want to make sure that we have that security across the whole entire organization, right? And then some of the specific projects around what zero trust initiatives are is that ZTNA access. You know, people are talking, it's not just VPN anymore, right? People don't just VPN in anymore, right? It has to be zero trust around it, right? Network segmentation. I was talking to a wonderful gentleman earlier this afternoon about how to segment his network, east-west traffic, north-south traffic, or just specific parts of his network to one specific location. We want to get that off. That doesn't need to go back to the core. It doesn't need to go back here. They want it segmented. Micro-segmentation, and then, of course, identity, two-factor, multi-factor. You know, make sure who we are. I don't know about you guys. Any of you guys have got your identity stolen ever? Yeah, okay, I guess I'm the only one. Happened to me. I ain't gonna lie. First one, I can't lie. I'm too ethical. True story, I went to law school, and I decided after going through 6 years of law school, I decided I was way too ethical to be a lawyer. I wanted to help people. So I didn't take the bar, but you need legal help. I can help you with that too. But funny story though is I was actually at a gas station, right? This was before my days at Fortinet, so I've been with Fortinet for 5 years. And you know, I always worked on the network side of business. I didn't necessarily work on the security side of business. And I'm like, oh, these people can't steal data from the gas pump. What are you talking about? You guys are on something. What's going on? Nope, not even gonna lie. Your phone, when you log into your phone, I don't have to log in my password to my email all the time, right? My banking apps, it's all saved. Just gonna put my fingerprint on there, open the app, you know, unlock it, and it's all there. Yep, nope. At the gas pump, someone hacked my phone, wired tons of money into one of my checking accounts, and then bought a bunch of Bitcoin, right? And I'm like, oh man, and then the bank's like, you owe me like $27,000. Like, I don't owe you nothing, I didn't do anything. So it was crazy. It was crazy, but that's where the two-factor comes in, right? So they were actually getting the code sent to my email that they had access to, and they cloned my phone. You know, it was open. You know, here's me at the gas pump just scrolling through Facebook as I'm waiting for, you know, my paycheck's going away as I'm pumping full gas, right? Yeah, 2 years it took that lovely thing to get ironed out. Man, I'm telling you right here, here's the true story, I ain't even lying. Credit score goes from like 795 to 511, like instantaneously, because guess what? You can't make your house payment with a credit card. You know, take all your money, man, you're kind of screwed. So that sucked. So with that being said, you know, true story but funny story, that identity access. We need to make sure that we are who we say we are, right? Which is why a lot of businesses, cybersecurity insurance is mandating that two-factor authentication. Are you guys all doing two-factor or looking at doing two-factor? Absolutely. So our ZTNA, as I segment off, our ZTNA business drivers are working anywhere, right? Doesn't matter if you're working from home, your couch, the beach. I'm a little bit jealous of those who are working from the beach today. Ransomware. As I mentioned, moving our workforce to the home not necessarily is a bad thing. I'm telling you, I'm more productive sometimes at home versus than in the office because I can be a chatty Cathy, I'm telling you. I can just talk. It's my superpower, right? So I get a lot more done at home. But because we have to trust our home networks, our employees' home networks, ransomware was at all-time high because it was really easy to attack. Most people's homes, they have everybody using things, right? Using their Wi-Fi, using their computers. Of course, my work computer doesn't ever get used to watch Netflix, ever. Right, so we have to trust others. And then, of course, our cloud journey, right? We're no longer accessing everything to the data center. So here's just a few little slides. I know I passed through the other one first because it's basically, I talk fast, so I kind of go through. But reducing the Zero trust reduces the attack surface, right? So how do we do that? We got to trust the device. We have to identify our users. We have to check our posture, right? So these are journeys, these are initiatives that you need to do to implement zero trust. Once again, it's not just a product. And then we need to provide access to those applications and make sure the people who are getting access to those applications are the right people who are supposed to get them, right? And then if anybody here not doing SSL encryption, decryption, maybe you don't want to raise their hands, definitely doing a disservice to your company if you're not. I know it can be, depending on the vendor that you're utilizing, it can be very expensive to turn on SSL, especially, a lot of vendors you have to use a bigger box in order to get that done, right? But it's absolutely something, most of the ransomware, anything is embedded, it's all in that SSL encrypted stuff. And a little bit more information on the cloud journey. Applications, they can be located anywhere, right? I don't know, of the people here today, are we doing a hybrid environment? We're moving to the cloud. Do we have people in public cloud, private cloud? So it's a little bit of everywhere, right? So this, with all of those, those challenges ITs in the ZTNA process, this brings us to what I like to call, or not me personally, Fortinet likes to call the universal ZTNA flexible architecture, right? So keep in mind, this is just a generic drawing. Now, this is a simplified diagram, right? Our particular Fortinet here, we do ZTNA very well, and they pay me to say that, and I actually truly believe it at the same time, right? So we don't do it by just a single product, right? You can't just buy a product, but once again, a journey. So once again, here is just a simplified what that architecture looks like, right? Now, believe it or not, I love it that, I thought I took those things out. Believe it or not, that ZTNA is actually part of the Fortinet fabric, right? It's part of our gate itself. ZTNA is not something that you pay for, right? We have all those processes, those applications, those granular user-based identity, access configurations, policy checks are already included in the gate, right? Whether you do it on, obviously, then we have two-factor, we have EDR, we have NAC solutions. So ZTNA is kind of like all over the board. So whether you're utilizing Fortinet or utilizing somebody else, it's kind of showing you how that ZTNA secure connection works, utilizing a gate and then using different. And down at the bottom, keep in mind, I'm representing Fortinet, right? So I'm going to put our EDR solution, I'm going to put our NAC solution up there. But one thing about Fortinet and ZTNA in a process is that we play well with others. So you're using someone else's two-factor, you're using someone else's NAC solution, great. It still all talks to one another, still gives you that same ZTNA protection that you're needing. And here is just a lovely little drawing of what I like to call the ZTNA process. So here, okay, how do I hit the back button? So here's what I like to call the process. We have, don't make me say that T word. Who wants to say it for me? ZTNA, damn it, telemetry. So I cannot say that word unless I sound it out. I do apologize. Kind of show you the pathway of how that works, as well as the fabric sync. We call it a fabric. A lot of people talking about Gartner, you hear about the security mesh, the cybersecurity mesh architecture. We here at Fortinet have been doing that for years. We just call it the fabric, but the same thing. But that's that fabric sync, that architecture mesh sync of how that looks. Tunnel posture checks and of course access, right? So this is a ZTNA process. So whether you're using, what client, what VPN, what gates you're using, what cloud solution you're using, this is how that process looks. And here's just a brief, kind of like a brief just a brief thing. In order to utilize ZTNA within the Fortinet infrastructure, you need two elements. You know, those two elements being our operating system, our OS, right? As well as FortiAuthenticator, which is our identity access solution, right? Or a identity access solution. Now, you guys are going to be lucky. You guys, I have a great little, me personally, I could talk until you guys are sick and tired of hearing me, but I have this lovely little demo at the end that if you guys don't have any questions, it's like a 7-minute video showing you actually what that ZTNA process looks like. You know, granted, you'll be seeing it in a Fortinet solution, but you will be able to see how that works, and that's pretty amazing to me. So I can't wait to show that. So I'm kind of rushing through these, but if you guys have any questions, you pop them out. But I'm kind of excited for you guys to see that demo. But here is, once again, another overview of what that zero trust looks like. Kind of busy, right? Anybody here today implemented zero trust within their environment yet? Or have they? Reasons why, I'm going to pick on you. You will get a 40-something later, whatever you want, a mug or something. Why haven't you deployed ZTNA yet?
Didn't know much about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know sometimes people think it's hard to do, right? So I get a lot of people like, oh, I don't have time to do it. You know, granted, we could be a billion-dollar company, but I have 3 of me. That's it in our environment. We have not enough staff, right? We don't have the time. First and foremost, if you don't have the time, you know, our friends at NCI, they offer this awesome service that they can help you do that for you. So just in case you need a little bit of help, Network Center will be happy to help you with that. But how do we implement a zero trust network? You know, people want to know, how do we do that? Actually, there are 3 main steps. One is to identify the users, right? Second is to identify the devices. You know, that's kind of like, that's where that NAC solution comes in. If you guys aren't running a NAC solution, it's part of our zero trust access journey is to make sure that you can identify all the devices on your network. I have run into quite a few different customers that have said, oh, we have a great NAC solution. I know exactly how many devices are on my network. Unfortunately, they were wrong. So I know NCI offers a lovely cyber threat assessment program with Fortinet as well as with other vendors, where they actually did a free cyber threat assessment. So it's free for you guys, right? Takes a few days. It's very non-intrusive, but put a little thing in their network and found out that there was over 300 different devices that they said they had their network locked down. There was over 300 different devices that were connecting to their network that they did not know about, rogue devices. So step 2, identify the devices. In step 3 is control endpoints regardless of their location. It does not matter if they're at the corporate office, if they're VPN'd in. Does not matter if they're in their home network. Or it does not matter if they're in a beach in Jamaica getting sun while we're freezing our butts off in Fargo. I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking next year Network Center should fly us all to Jamaica or Costa Rica or something during January. Come on. I'm on board for that. So with that being said, so going back to identifying the users, right? Here, utilizing Fortinet solution here, I'm going to talk to you about FortiAuthenticator and FortiToken. You know, keep in mind, for those who may not be familiar with Fortinet, we are a brilliant company. We're engineering first. You know, our owner, founder is absolutely brilliant when it comes to hardware architecture. It's just stellar. But he was not the best marketing guy 20 years ago. So when he first labeled something the FortiGate or a FortiToken, it just took off. He was the boss, owner, founder. We're just going to go with it. So we have Forti everything, right? You want an AP? Yep, it's a Forti AP, guys. I'm not lying. You want a camera? It's a Forti camera. You want a phone? Yep, we have them. It's a Forti phone. Not even a lie. So Forti token, Forti authenticator, our user-based access solution, right? This is that step one, right? Role-based access, single sign-on, and authentication. This is being able to identify who your user is. Step one. Step two, identify and control all devices, right? So is it a printer? Is it a laptop? Is it corporate-based? Is it bring your own device? Is it on a guest VLAN? Is it on a VLAN? Is it segmented? Does it have contain threats? We have to identify and control all of our devices, right? This is where that NAC solution comes in place. Or something similar, a process that you guys have in place in order to identify and control all those devices, have policies set around them, right? Plug in a new printer. Oop, it's rogue. Nope. Make sure you work with your IT staff to make sure that that's approved to go on your network. Doesn't matter just because you brand new in box, reception plugs it in. Nope, it's not going to work. It's not going to communicate to your network. We're going to make sure we're going to control all that for you. And that's where Fortinet comes in. Like I said, our solution as far as knowing what's on your network, who's on your network, dynamic control, visibility. This is the one where we did that cyber threat assessment, and they're like, nope, we have it in place. We're protected, and nope, they weren't. And they're like, wow. And we don't do those free cyber threat assessments, and we don't do them with NCI for you guys to purchase Fortinet. If you do, great. You're going to love it. But we want to make sure your guys' network is as secure as possible as it can be. So that's why they're there for you. What are you doing great at, and what are you not? So, right? And here's recommendations on how to do it better, whether you go with a Fortinet solution or you go with a Cisco solution, Oracle solution, whatever solution, but here's how to do it better. Visibility, that endpoint identification process, right? So this is how we do it at Fortinet, right? So not only do we have it with as far as like using a NAC solution, we have over 20 different profiling methods, right? Different methods to profile devices, right? Higher trust, right? So not only are we going to do that via, let's see, the FortiGate, FortiGuard, IP, script. There's many different ways, those profiling methods. You can check all the boxes if you want to, right? It gives you that higher trust for the people for those devices on your network. So here's a little thing, nice little slide how it kind of works. Like printers connected to the network, right? Gets that notification trap, right? Fortinet profiles the device as a printer. Then it informs the fabric or your network, we call it your architecture, right? How to access that network, right? Now what happens is here, printer starts acting suspicious. That will actually send it to the FortiGate, will actually send that to NAC to the Fortinet saying, hey, this is suspicious. Someone's plugging it in at 3 o'clock in the morning. No one's working at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Solution's going to automatically quarantine itself, and it's going to tell the gate to fix it, right? Quarantine, fix it, and send a note to you guys to say, hey guys, this is what we found. Don't worry, you don't have to roll in at 3 o'clock in the morning. We fixed it for you, right? It's quarantined, but make sure you take a look at it when you get in, right? And then you want to ensure granular control regardless of your location, right? That's that one thing is endpoints. Doesn't matter where you are, right? So here is granular application access, right? VPN, so it's not just VPN, it's dynamic control, right? Software inventory, operating system updates, security and remote access, right? So you can get extremely granular depending on your location, at any location. It doesn't matter if you're at the corporate headquarters or if you're working from home, or in that beach in Jamaica that we should go to. I'm just saying. I'm way more fun in the sun. Oh, that rhymes. But it's true, too. So here is FortiClient. FortiClient is our endpoint protection, visibility, and control, right? Once again, FortiClient, guess what this is? Not only VPN, but it gives you threat protection at that endpoint, right? We're not just talking anti-spam or malware, but we're talking web filtering, patching, policy. You know, you'd be able to push everything down. You'd get that, make me say that word again, endpoint telemetry. I don't know why I can't say it. And then, of course, single sign-on, right? So FortiClient Zero Trust Network Access, ZTNA, how it says transparent tunnels, MFA is necessary, you know, multi-factor. You know, we all need to be multi-factored, two-factor authentication. Otherwise, you're going to end up like me and have, you know, lots of money in your account and then go away because you're at the gas station, right? But FortiClient, Fortinet solution, actually, we do it very, very safe. We do it very, very granular as far as when it's role-based, application-based. You know, and I'm going to, if you guys are wanting to see it, I'm thinking you're going to love to see it. But to see how granular things could get. Like when we're talking ZTNA, you can have access to certain things, and if you don't check the boxes on all three of them, you need all these three things in order to get access to that application. If you don't check the box for all three, you don't get access. You check the boxes for two, you don't get access. It's only when you check all three boxes. So it's the higher trust that you get is when you're able to set those granular controls. Not just because you work here and not just because you're the CEO of the company or you're the founder. That just doesn't give you a reason to give you access. Love you for it, but you don't get access just because you created the company. You gotta make sure we can trust you. So, why Fortinet? I just like to put that in there for one, because one, you get to work with me. How fun would that be? We could be on a beach in Jamaica right now. No, with that being said, and I hit the back button. So here, why Fortinet, right? This is my favorite topic. Why Fortinet is because we are broad, we're integrated, and we're automated, right? So, and I say that for a reason. We have all of our products are built on that same operating system, right? I think everybody in this room today says, how can we make your life easier, right? Man, I wish point A would talk to point A would talk to point B automatically. I wish it would be integrated together. I have 30 different vendors in my network, right? I wish they talked to one another. Anybody here would like to say that's not accurate, right? That's where Fortinet's different. You know, whether you're utilizing, when you're utilizing Fortinet, all of our devices have the same operating system, the same OS. So we build other products holistically, right, to talk to one another, right? However, with that being said, we play well with others, right? So we know that not everybody's going to have Fortinet in their environment, and they're not going to have Forti everything, right? Because eventually we're going to come up with another product, and then you're not going to have Forti that. So it's going to be Forti something else that's going to come up with. But we actually play well with others, meaning that if your existing infrastructure is working, you just need to secure it. We don't want you to replace it. We want to help you secure it, right? Keep your existing infrastructure, right? That's working, right? Let's just help you secure it. We have over 500 different, I think I probably have it on another slide, but we have over 500 different fabric-ready partners, right? Competitors, right? Different partners, different products that we have custom-built connectors and APIs already built, so that when you add a Forta something into your environment, you're going to get that automation. You're going to get that integration already built in. You don't have to have your devs team or hire a devs team to create something because it's already there for you. We do provide the broadest coverage in the industry, right? You don't even, like, we have lots of products. And once again, whether it's cloud, whether it's network, whether it's SOC, NOC, right? Whether you're looking for a SIM or a NAC or you're looking for a CASB, yes, Fortinet has an answer, has a solution that can all connect and talk back to that firewall, right? That then can connect and talk to your SentinelOne or to your CrowdStrike if you want to use that, or if you want to use this, that, or the other. It all is interconnected, and it makes your guys' job less hard, right? So here are some of what I like to say are advantages. And I keep touching this microphone, so you can tell, like, I am a woman. I talk with my hands. Do you ever notice that? Men, they can sit up here and they can talk. They can be stern and stellar. Women, we're all over the place. Our hands are flailing. I'm telling you, it's a little crazy. But, and I don't realize it until I'm up here talking. I'm like, dang it, I'm moving my hands again. I'm just going to have to sit here. But once again, here are some of the Fortinet advantages, right? That single pane of glass, right? Especially for you guys who are working on a small, limited team, right? You don't have enough people to get everything done, right? It'd be nice to have a solution that you can just log into one management plane and you'd be able to do everything. You want to log into your router or your firewall and can configure the port level of your AP in branch B? Absolutely. You can do that with Fortinet. You don't have to log into another device. You can go right through the gate or right through the management platform. Down to that AP level, kind of cool, right? Our ZTNA client, Fabric client, is also VPN, right? VPN is VPN, right? VPN should just work. But we're going to add that zero trust network access around VPN, right? Because we don't want zero trust is giving you. You need to tell me who you are, what you do, and you need to confirm everything before I'm giving you access to anything. I don't want to just give you VPN just to get VPN. We still need to have some rules and policies around that, which is where you get that zero trust. And then because those zero trust network access policies are just part of our operating system, if you're using our OS, like if you're using a gate and you're using our VPN client, you're automatically going to get it. You don't have to pay extra for it. Those ZTNA, those zero trust network access policies are part of the gate. They're part of the client, right? You just got to check the boxes. You just got to go in there and provide that policy or those granular controls that you want to have around when you do that user-based identity or those device identity. So with that being said, it's kind of like a few slides kind of go over of why we're doing this, right? The evolution of remote access to applications, right? That ongoing verification, right? Are you still who you say you are? That more granular control and that easier user experience. We want to make things easy. I want the easy button. Wasn't that Staples, the easy button? Man, that was great marketing right there. So if you guys are interested, I know that I tend to try to talk fast. It's about 7 minutes, and I know because we got a late start, so I think we get like 2 minutes extra. You guys want to see how it looks? Zero Trust? You guys want to see it? Okay. I'm going to click on this little link. Can you click on that little link? Pop that up. There you go. Yep, you can just hit the play button.
My name is Alex Samonti, and I'm the Director of Technical Architecture at Fortinet. Today, I'm going to be showing you Zero Trust Network Access with FortiOS. That's composed of the FortiClient, the FortiClient EMS server, and the FortiOS Universal Zero Trust Network Access proxy. We will also be integrating with the FortiAuthenticator for SAML Identity Access Management Services. This diagram shows our setup. We have two users in the green engineering group, Ron Smith, who is working remotely from a cafe, and Mark Hall, who is working from an office. We also have 2 users in the blue IT InfoSec group. Rob Nitz is working from home, and Katie Scott is working from the office. No matter where the users are, they will get the same experience when accessing resources via the FortiClient that is installed. This aligns with Fortinet's work from anywhere philosophy. The data center can be on-prem or in the cloud or wherever. This is where the resources we will be accessing are. The ENG Tools site can only be accessed by the engineers. Similarly, the FortiAnalyzer and the Splunk server can only be accessed by IT. And then the FortiTester can be accessed by both. At the center of it all, we have the FortiOS Universal ZTNA proxy. This is a built-in component of FortiOS. It will be controlling access to the resources. And finally, we have the FortiClient EMS. This communicates with Active Directory to continually verify the identity and trust status of individual FortiClients. It communicates to the FortiOS Access Proxy to provide a total zero-trust solution. From our EMS dashboard, we can see that we have 4 managed devices which have FortiClient installed, 2 that are on Fabric, and 2 that are off Fabric. Here we have our policies for determining if any FortiClient endpoint will use a particular profile. This also includes if they are on Fabric or off Fabric. The endpoint profiles control how the client will enforce certain security, like malware scanning, sandboxing, and vulnerability scans. In this particular case, we have malware protection enabled. For web filtering, we are blocking liable as well as some adult content. For firewall applications, we're blocking game and social media, and we are monitoring proxy and allowing everything else. Finally, we're doing a vulnerability scan when we first join the network, and we automatically patch any critical vulnerabilities. Now we have our zero trust tags. These are how we determine what type of capabilities we want to share with the FortiGate so it can enforce zero trust policy. We can use granular rules to decide if an endpoint meets a characteristic. Here we see for the IT InfoSec tag. They need to be part of the IT InfoSec group. They need to be logged into the domain tmg.local, and they need to have antivirus enabled. Now that other one was a pretty simple Active Directory group check, but we can also do more admission control type logic. Here we are checking for BitLocker as a process to see if it's running, and we will also see if Windows thinks it is enabled. There are many types of checks we can perform and all of the different characteristics we can have, and we can create specific and/or logic that will help us fine-tune the access we need. Tags do not need to be mutually exclusive. A person may be part of the IT InfoSec group as well as the vulnerable group because their vulnerabilities may be too high. From here, we will move to the FortiGate to see how the zero trust access policies will allow us to create segmentation based on the endpoint policies, as well as applications based on NGFW policies. The dashboard gives us an overview of what is happening on the FortiGate, including the status of connected FortiClients. Here we can see all the different tags the EMS is sending to the FortiGate. All of these tags can be used to create policy. We can see some of the tags that we have created ourselves, as well as a number of the built-in tags that come from the EMS. If we look at this tag, we can see what it resolves to. These tags help us create policies for access. The ZTNA servers are the resources we're exposing from our internal protected networks. Since these servers' networks are available from anywhere the client can be, we need to make sure we're only allowing specific resources. We can map whole servers or only specific resources via the URL. If the server supports SAML, we can use an external identity provider to provide single sign-on to the resource without having to enter credentials multiple times. The ZTNA rules control how different users can access these resources. These rules will match the source and the ZTNA server along with whatever ZTNA tags are required to access the resource. Much like a firewall policy, you can configure the source and destination to match only what you want. You can use multiple ZTNA tags, or you can specify all or any of them. You will also define any security inspection you will want to do for this specific resource. Much like the NGFW policy, it is granular as you want, so you're only applying the security you want for the resources you require. Now let's take a look at some of the Zero Trust access in action. We have a few clients we can remote desktop to in order to see how ZTNA will work. The first one is for Rob. And we're going to open the FortiClient and see what it says. We can see that he's off net from the status, but he is logged into the domain, and he already has an IT InfoSec tag. We can see that he has malware protection enabled, just like the EMS policy shows. And we saw on the EMS IT off-net profile for the web filter options, we were blocking potentially liable and some adult and mature content. For the application firewall, it's blocking games and social media, but monitoring proxy. And Rob does not have the vulnerable tag. That was because it was only for critical and high vulnerabilities. So now we'll look at some of these resources we've mapped to different users and tags. I'm trying to load 4 different sites. We can see that it's asking me for a client certificate. This is because we are validating every connection to make sure they are who they say they are. The client certificate is issued by the EMS when a client first connects. That way we can correctly verify the identity. ENG Tools is only accessible to the engineering group. But for the FortiAnalyzer, once we present our client certificate, we are allowed. Now we're offering the cert every time. It's only asked for the first time you connect to a resource, but you can automate the issuing of the certificate, which I will show a bit later. The Splunk service does offer SAML integration, so it logs me in directly without me having to enter my username or password, because my authentication status is passed on via SAML. And the FortiTester is something both IT and engineering have access to. So now we will take a look at Ron. If we look at his FortiClient, we can see that he is off-net from his status, but he is logged into the domain, and he is part of the engineering group and has the engineering Zero Trust tag. Similar to the IT profile, he has some of the same things blocked as well, but also security risk. On the application firewall, he is also being blocked from going to proxies. And the vulnerability scan shows that he has no current vulnerabilities. With Chrome, I've automated the cert acceptance. This can be done simply if you only have one cert, or if you have more than one cert, you can create policies to decide when you're using one or the other, or you can just choose from the list. So unlike Ron, Rob is in the engineering group and does have access to the engineering tools site. But he does not have access to the FortiAnalyzer or Splunk. But the FortiTester, both groups have access to. Now we will take a look at Mark. Mark is running an old version of Windows that does not have up-to-date security. There are also a number of vulnerable applications installed which have known problems. We can see that Mark is on Fabric, which means he is in an on-prem network. He also has the engineering tag, but in addition, he has the vulnerable tag. Only the critical and high vulnerabilities contributed to the vulnerable tag, as we defined in our EMS server. For many vulnerabilities, you can fix them right on the spot. We can also see vulnerabilities that have been caused purposely by adding some vulnerable applications, which the FortiClient can pick up on. Here we can see how the vulnerable tag has been included in the list of tags the client has. And this client has been denied access to all resources because of zero trust. Finally, we have our last client, Katie. She is on-prem and in the IT InfoSec group. So she should have the same access as Rob, who was off Fabric and in the IT InfoSec group. So here we can see that Katie is on Fabric and has the IT InfoSec tag. And if we go back and look at Rob, we can see Rob is off Fabric and also has the IT InfoSec tag. Now, if we look at what access Katie has and what access Ron has, we get the same. Neither of them can get to the ENG tools. Both of them can get to the FortiAnalyzer, Splunk, and the FortiTester. Now we will head back to the FortiGate to see how the ZTNA access logs look like. We can see each user's access to the different resources we've defined. We can see when our vulnerable client Mark was not allowed to access any resource. We can also see when the engineers were not allowed to access to the IT resources, and we can see when the IT InfoSec people were not allowed to access the engineering resources. And of course, we can see when all of the users were allowed to access the resources.
What do you guys think? Interesting, right? Like how granular, how things can get, that you can have two people in the same department, you know, but they're not hitting all the same criteria, so they're not getting access. One is, and then of course you even have that capability to, like, if you have vulnerabilities, you ain't getting anywhere. It doesn't matter who you are, type of thing. So the demo does go on a little bit further. We do have a SASE solution. It looks exactly the same. It's just in the cloud. So I didn't want to, I know we ran over, but I was a little late here too. So with that being said, so questions, comments, what are your thoughts, feedback? What do you think? Nothing? Man. Okay. Well, if any of you have any questions, hopefully this gave you a little bit of better understanding, you know, with my craziness up here, like what ZTNA is, you know, what the requirements are, and how truly it is easy to deploy, whether you utilize a Fortinet solution or anybody else's solutions. Anybody remember what the 3 steps are, you know, to how to implement a zero trust? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's not, it is time consuming. It takes more than a day, but it's what your company and what you guys need to secure yourself and your businesses. So, okay. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, thank you for your time today. Hopefully you learned a little thing, if not about me, about how I got hacked, or too ethical to be a lawyer. But feel free to stop by the booth, grab a 40 umbrella, you know, chat with me a little bit more if you want to. But yeah, otherwise enjoy the conference, guys.